Well, all right. Welcome back to As It Should Be. Paul Bertolino here in the world famous As It Should Be studios. And we have Crystal Durant.
Hello.
Tommy Von Voigt.
Hello.
And it's not 2004, but we are going to be discussing The Who. We're going to be ranking the Who catalog, all the good and proper Who studio albums. We're going to be leaving out, so we're not going to have Live at Leeds or Meaty Big and Meaty B.
Someone isn't gonna like that.
That one.
Is that how that album's pronounced?
Big and bouncy.
No odds and sods, no, Quadrophenia soundtrack, no Tommy soundtrack. None of that stuff. Just the regular studio albums, which is what, like 11 or 12 albums?
12
like
albums,
that.
I believe, yeah.
And we're going to do it in the same way that we do our years, where we each do our lists. And, let's get started. I'm going to start this one because Crystal is going to get the last word.
Yeah, that's me.
I'm actually converting mine from bullet points to numbers.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's get in on this. Also, I kind of mentioned it at the end of the 2004 episode. The big reason why we're doing The Who this week is because it is Roger Daltrey's 80th birthday.
Yay!
This is coming out on Thursday. It's tomorrow, Friday. Roger Daltrey's turning 80, so we're having a big, as it should be, birthday party for Roger Daltrey.
Happy birthday, Roger. Roger watches the show.
Roger waters the show.
Roger watches the show.
Roger waters the show.
Yes. Yeah, Roger is going to be really, really excited that we're actually talking about him.
Yeah.
But, all right. So, my list.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes, 12 albums. Okay, now coming in number 12. I'm wondering if we're all going to have the same number 12.
Oh, this is going to be wild.
Oh, we're not going to have the same list. No.
Okay, well, coming in number 12, Endless Wire. The 2006... Their first new album since 1982. They had been touring off and on for years and years and years, but they never made any music. It was just this, Heritage Act thing for the longest time.
Yeah.
And they were about to make this album. Like, John Entwistle was still alive when they first started preparing to make this record. Like, they even had some stuff in the can where they were working on songs where he played bass. And then,
Yeah.
At 60 years old, he
went up a blaze of glory.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Yeah. He went, I'm 60. I can snort coke.
Hooker's
okay,
asses.
Good idea. Endless Wire. I have it at the bottom of the list. I don't dislike this album. I don't think it's great. But whenever I go back to it and I listen to it, I always go back to it thinking, oh yeah, and this one. And I listen to it and I go, that song isn't that great, but I like that one. I like that one. Okay, that one's not that great, but I really like that one. Like, Roger sounds okay. Like, I don't think he sounds that bad.
No, sounds decent.
It's a little... It lacks energy. It's definitely kind of like...
Oh.
Yeah, it's like, come on, guys. Like, the opening track is just so mid.
Yeah.
It's just like mid-tempo.
That bummed me out.
There's no energy. It's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's not a bad song. Yeah, but there are a lot of songs that I really like. There are a few tracks later on where they're... Zach Starkey's playing drums, and he does some pretty good Keith Moonish kind of stuff on this record. So some of the stuff technically almost sounds more like The Who than It's Hard does.
Yeah.
Yeah. In certain way, like in instrumental
weight, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Anyway, so yeah, Endless Wire. Number 11, Face Dances from 1981.
Oh, dear.
The first album after Keith Moon died. Back in the early 80s, I loved this album so much.
What?
I loved it. Well, I was a kid.
Oh,
I was 11 when this record came out.
Yeah.
And I really liked the new Kenny Jones albums as they were coming out. Looking back at them, I don't dislike them now, but now I understand why people didn't like them. And Face Dances has songs that I really love. I always really loved You Better You Bet. And I absolutely love Another Tricky Day.
Yeah, that's a good song.
And there are other songs I like too, but there's stuff like Don't Let Go the Coat that I can't stand. Cache, whatever. How you pronounce it. Cache, whatever.
Isn't Guitar and Pen on this?
Guitar and Pen is on Who Are You?
Oh, Who Are You? Right, I forgot, sorry.
But yeah, there's just a lot of okay stuff on it, and John Entwistle songs like he's trying to be like, hard rockin', and it's just kind of not that good.
Yeah.
And I do like the sound of it. It has like a really nice, just like direct, tight sound, the way it's recorded. Like, the drums sound good on it, but they're played in a really just sort of pedestrian sort of manner. And I don't know. Whatever. Which leads us to my number 10. It's hard. At a quick glance, you would think It's Hard above Face Dances, and when I go through it, I like more songs on It's Hard than on Face Dances. It's Your Turn. I like Athena. I really love Eminence Front, but I prefer the video version, which is a live studio or sound check performance, which is way better than the album version. But I like the song. Cry If You Want is the last song. Great song. Like, there are a few songs on that album that I really like, and a bunch of lame songs like the title track and Cooks County, and there's some terrible songs on it too. And anyway, so coming to number 9.
Number 9?
Number 9. An album that, well, it's up pretty high for what it is. Who? Yeah, Who from what year is this? Just a few years ago. 2019. 2019. I like the record. I like this record. It's Roger's sounding a little rougher on it than the earlier albums, but I feel like Pete sounds more invested in it.
Oh, then
like
does.
And I feel like it has a little bit more punch than Endless Wire. It sounds more like the Who than Endless Wire. Like, because Endless Wire, even though it had those moments that had good Who flourishes, it sounded like a bunch of demos the way it's recorded. It's demo-y sounding Endless Wire. This sounds like much better than that. Yeah, and there's definitely some songs on it that I really love. Some songs I don't love, but for a Who album that came out in 2019, I think it's way better than it has any right to be, really. But number 8. The Who by Numbers.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, from 1975. This album is a bit of a dark horse Who album. It flies under the radar. I think it's a really good album, but there's something about it that kind of gets past people. It's almost like the next Who's Next, but with songs that aren't as good.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like it because of that, because they wanted the same as the first, and it didn't happen.
But some of my favorite Who songs, Slip Kid, opening track, that's one of my favorite Who songs.
Great song.
Yeah, I love Success Story, and there's so much great stuff on that. But when I was a kid, when I was first listening to it, I didn't like it much because I didn't find a lot of it memorable.
Yeah.
I had to kind of grow up. I had to kind of grow into that album, I feel like. But I still have it only at number 8, so. My number 7, Who Are You? I don't have a copy of that here. Yeah, I think you're going to have Who Are You low. I predict. We'll see. I predict.
Maybe.
But I've always liked that album a lot. That's the earliest Who album that I actually remember as a new album.
Oh, okay.
That's the first one where I was cognizant of, like, oh, the new Who album is out.
Yeah.
I remember being at the mall and going to the record store, and there was, like, the end cap was just, like,
oh, man,
awash in Who Are You? And it was like, oh, the new Who album, And I don't like the really loud, cheesy synths on it. We talked about this before. The synths can be there, but I feel like they're way too loud in the mix, and I don't like the tones. That's right.
We need to get a zoom in on Tommy's eyes real quick.
Low on the list, high on the list. Anyway,
What's your for Sister Disco?
Sister Disco, I like that, but that and that can be there, but it's way too loud.
It's exactly as loud as it needs to be.
Oh.
But man, there's some good songs on that. I mean, I love Had Enough. I've had enough, all feeling good. Like, great songs on it.
I love, the synths in that I really dig.
It works fine in that. It's not too loud, and
it's atmospheric
it's okay.
in the back. Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, anyway, so a lot of people don't like that. That's not a well-loved Who album, but I like it. Number 6, I have this way lower than most people would have it. Way lower, and I don't have. Oh no, I do have a copy. It's over there, but I'm not going to go get it. Tommy. Yes, I have Tommy merely at number 6. It's a great record. I don't dislike it at all. I love it. It's a classic. All the ones above it, I just like more. Back when I was first really digging, like going back and listening back to Who albums, I was just obsessed with this record.
It's a great record.
It hasn't. I'm not gonna say it hasn't aged well. I just lost my passion for it, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I get it.
But I still think it's great. You know, it's just that if I'm gonna go back and listen to a Who album, this is not one of the ones I'm gonna grab. But anyway, number 5. My Generation, the debut album, with lots of glare. There we go. There we go. Yeah, the Who. Now, this is an album that I definitely didn't like that much when I was first listening to it when I was really young, because I didn't like the covers. There aren't that many covers on it. It has a couple of James Brown covers, but I didn't like the style of it that much. Some of it just seemed kind of like la 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 la. It kind of seemed like it to my ears at the time. I was like, what? It sounded 50s to me.
Yeah.
Like, what's this old-fashioned shit they're doing? Like, there wasn't anything else on it that sounds like My Generation, which is not true. Like, I think Out in the Street is a really great kick-ass song. The Kids Are All Right is one of the all-time classics.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that album really has risen for me. I have it at number 5. Number 4... the second album, a quick one.
Well,
Yeah. Now, this album is kind of a weird, difficult one for me. There is a fair amount of subpar material on it.
Yeah.
I cannot stand the album version of the title track. Because if you've heard any live performance of it, especially the Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus version, the studio version is just like... Come on. Yeah, it's pathetic compared to the live versions. But, and then, you know, there aren't that many Pete Townsend originals on that album. Like, Roger writes a song, it's not that good. Keith wrote a couple songs. Johnny Whistle is in rare form on this. Like, Johnny Whistle's songs on this album are great. Like, Whiskey Man.
Yeah.
I do like Boris the Spider. I know you don't like that one so much.
I don't like it.
But Run, Run, Run is one of the best Who openers for any Who album.
That's a great song.
Like, what a great fucking song that is. So Sad About Us.
I love that song.
Now that is a fucking song. But yeah, See My Way, the Roger Daltrey trying to write a Buddy Holly song. And it's like, nice try. Nice try. But basically, I guess what it all comes down to is that the highs on this album for me are so high that it brings the whole album up. Number 3, my top 3 are all 3 number 1. But I had to choose. No, that's not it. Quadrophenia. It hurts to put Quadrophenia merely at number 3, but I've done it. Now, I think at first, when I was, again, back when I was first getting familiar with these records, I probably preferred Tommy to Quadrophenia, but over time, like, Quadrophenia overtook Tommy so hardcore to where it's just like it's not even a contest anymore for me. I feel like the story isn't that obvious, and so it's a little confusing and not that easy to follow if you don't kind of already know what it is. But I feel it's the same thing with Tommy. Like, neither of them are really that good at actually telling the story. It's just good music on the albums. And I prefer the music on Quadrophenia.
Yeah. No, I'll save it for me.
you have your
we're
comments.
both like withholding all comment right
yeah.
now.
I know you guys are like, oh, I have so much to say about
You're just
this.
saying this, you're saying that. We're just like,
Yeah, that album you have at number 3 is at my number 12, but fuck you. Okay, but yeah, Quadrophenia. I mean, it's an all-timer for me. And I think I mentioned this on another video too. When we were doing our 1973 albums, I didn't know about that album at first. I had a friend, my mom's friend Sherry. She lived in the apartment behind us, and she was like, "Did you know they had another rock opera?" And I was like, "Oh, really?" Yes, it was called this is that moment where, like, sit down, grasshopper. It was called Quadrophenia, and it is about and like, really. But this next album, my number 2, The Who, Sellout. Man, do I fucking love this album. This album confused the living fuck out of me when I first heard it. I found it in the 50 cent bin.
Oh, God.
In the 50 cent bin at a local used record store called Looney Tunes. And the minute I saw it, I could see that it was The Who, but I was like,
what is this?
but what the fuck is
going
this?
on?
Yeah.
I thought it was like a Pickwick album or something. I didn't know it was a real, like, legit
record.
Who studio album. But I bought it, and I just...
Yeah.
At first, it was one of those things. At first, I liked some songs and I didn't like others because it's just such a weird album that some of it didn't compute.
Yeah.
But over time, like, boom, oh man, this is easily one of my favorites. And I also had mentioned this before, the 1997, maybe 1990 something CD reissue with all the extra bonus tracks that basically makes this a double album.
To Who comes up.
So my number one. Yeah, you guys are shocked. You guys are stunned. Yeah, of course it's fucking Who's Next. What are you talking about? Of course. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean...
That's your first comment you've made.
Well, there's a whole thing about how Pete was trying to make a second rock opera Lifehouse, and it was this big mess, and I'm doing all these shows, and him trying to explain the concept, and nobody got it, and wrote and demoed all these songs, and all this kind of thing. I'm glad it worked out the way it did, because I think Lifehouse, I think it would have been a mess. Oh. I think there would have been all kinds of fat to cut from that. It would have been a double album that they made this into the album it needed to be. I'm like cutting it down to a single album, getting rid of any concept. This is just an album collection of songs. Chef's kiss. Yes, that is just like you can't improve on it.
No, you can't.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about greatest hits albums,
yeah.
Can you name one song on this album you haven't heard on the radio?
You can't.
I mean, okay, I can. Love Ain't for Keeping. I don't think I've heard on the radio, but other than that, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you listen to like a deep cut, old school rock station,
Like maybe on FM, you probably heard that stuff.
FM,
My Wife and.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so there you go. That's my Who list. And
Okay.
I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
All right.
KK.
Okay.
All right. Do we have commercials? I haven't thought about this.
For the Who episode.
I wonder. I don't know. Let's find out.
Hello, children. You know who I am. I know who you are. And we all know who the Who are. The kids are all right. It's the mayhem madness music of the Who.
Available at all Licorice Pizza record stores.
America, demand your MTV. I want my MTV.
I want my MTV.
I want my MTV.
MTV, music, television, video music, 24 hours a day, and it's stereo.
Oh, baby, make it hurt so good. That's fun. Who can it be now? Call your cable company and say, I want my MTV.
Okay, we're back.
All right.
And Tommy Von Voigt is going to tell us what he thinks about the Who catalog.
Well, I'll tell you what, this was a very interesting thing to do.
Oh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we did this once before, we did the Beatles.
We did the Beatles. No, we've only done it once before.
Right.
The Beatles.
Yeah.
We did it with the Beatles, and particularly with the second half of the Beatles catalog, I was intimately familiar with the material. If we were to ever get around to doing other discography rankings, like I know we've talked before about Led Zeppelin, we've talked about some other
We
artists.
intend to do more.
Yeah, we do intend to do more, and we're going to pepper them throughout as bonuses for you. With The Who, I realized when I dove into this just how unfamiliar with a lot of their recorded output I actually was.
Yeah.
There are a number of albums on here that I'd never listened to literally at all.
Really?
Well,
And
I can imagine
Yeah,
you probably
I get
never
that.
put on Endless Wire. I mean,
No.
that would make complete sense to me.
but quite a few of these. I'm talking Quadrophenia. I'd never bothered listening to Quadrophenia.
Really?
Wow, but you've
Yes.
heard certain tracks.
I heard certain tracks. And,
Yeah.
and you could say that with almost every one of these albums. There's going to be at least a couple of tracks where it's like, oh, of course I know that. Like, when I was going through a quick one, obviously Sad About Us.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that's an incredible song. I also made the discovery that there were a few, and I'm blanking on which songs they were. There were a few that I was waiting to hear that never ended up on albums that were big songs.
Yes, there are certain tracks that are only singles and they're not on the albums. Yes.
Yes, so that was a little bit of a disappointment. But I also discovered something else. Apparently, I don't really like The Who that much.
What?
I was waiting for that.
Actually, I'm not surprised by this.
Well, I was a little bit surprised by it, but I kind of figured out what was going on.
Yeah.
So, The Who, and I kind of had this kind of epiphany as I was going through all these albums, because what I had to do to let you know how I had to do this, because there was so much of this I was actually unfamiliar with. What I did is I went in chronological order, all 12 of the actual proper studio albums, and I didn't just skip around tracks. I listened to every single one of these albums, not the bonus track versions or anything like that, just
Right,
the
just the
actual
album proper.
original
Regular.
proper albums from start to finish, starting from My Generation, going all the way up to Who in 2019. The whole thing. And that is how I ranked them. And I put them on the list as I went through them. I would put just listen to that one. Now listen to this next one. Ooh, I like that one better than the previous one.
Oh.
But it's not, I don't like it nearly as much as that one, so that one's staying there. And that's how I put my list together.
Which is a
Question.
pretty good way to do it.
So I found myself surprised how the list was shaping up. Go ahead.
Question. So you did this all in one session, or you were working listening, or you just gave it 100% of your concentration? And Melissa, don't talk to me for the next 3
I'm
hours.
listening to The Who.
This is what I'm doing.
Well, it's 9.5 hours of Who music.
Right.
So I listened to like a couple of chunks of time, and then the other half of it on the flight on Monday morning.
Okay.
Just uninterrupted, nothing. Just shut the world off because I'm afraid of flying. So let me just focus on this.
Oh, okay.
And only focused on what I was hearing, and that's how I finished everything up. And so I discovered that apparently I don't really like the Who all that much. I like them just okay.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, it isn't a dislike.
It's not a dislike. It's like, they're okay. But the other thing that I discovered in doing this was the epiphany I had. The Who music sounds like Who music. And now what I mean by that, for anyone that doesn't immediately, Paul looks like he immediately got
I know
that.
what you mean.
I know what you mean.
So a perfect comparison would be Prince. Prince's classic era albums, starting from the late 70s on up to, I would say,
Love Sexy.
Love Sexy, around there, maybe right before the, Get Off, Cream and all that stuff.
Yeah.
His music, even the bangers, even the killer stuff, kind of sounds a little weird when you compare it to almost all other music. His productions sound a little, I don't want to say one-dimensional, but there's a thinness to it. There's there's this curious, unique thing to Prince's golden era music that really just, it sounds like Prince music.
Prince sounds like Prince.
Prince music
A lot
sounds
of other
like
people
Prince
also
music.
tried to sound like Prince,
him.
indeed,
Right.
but they were sounding like Prince.
Yes, and if you don't like what Prince music sounds like, you might not even like Purple Rain.
1999.
You might not
Purple
like
Rain, yeah.
1999. All these incredible albums.
Yeah.
If you don't like what Prince music sounds like, and The Who makes Who music. They don't actually sound like any other band, and no other band really sounds like them. And you can't even just say it's any one thing. You could easily just say, well, if you listen to it, Moon is doing a fill every 30 seconds,
Well, the only rhythm player in the whole band is Pete Townsend.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Everybody
not-
else is a lead player.
They're all playing lead. It's not really all. It's not even because you can't say it's Moon, because Who music sounds like Who music even with Kenny Jones. Who music sounds like Who music with Endless Wire, and on the self-titled from 2019, it still sounds like Who music.
Sounds like Who, yeah.
It has to do with a combination of Roger. It's the way Pete plays. It's the way Pete writes.
Right.
There's something unique about Who music that only sounds like the Who. And if you don't absolutely love what they do, you might only cherry pick their catalog and find the standouts, and that's what you like. And it turns out that is my approach to the Who.
Right.
So with all of that in mind, that's your context here. That was my methodology, and that is my kind of personal relationship with the Who's music, and that is the point of view I'm going to be coming from when I give you my list.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, that was a Tommy.
That was, yes, retroactively, that was a Tommy's Treatise. My number 12, Endless Wire. This is not a good album. This is a tired ass album devoid of ideas.
Like I said, they sound they have no energy.
Yeah.
The album sounds like they were forced to make it.
Yes.
At
Like they felt like they had to make it. And why, I don't know.
I don't know. And again, I'm coming at this with most of these albums. I'm coming at this almost with a fresh perspective. I'm an alien from another planet, and I'm reviewing this entire band's catalog fresh.
As a lifelong Who fan, you and I have the same.
Yes.
I mean, I like the album more than you do, but in a general sense, I see it exactly the same way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna start to diverge a little bit here, okay? Because my number 11 is a quick one, 1966.
You know what? I don't blame you, because I fully understand the shortcomings of that album.
Yes. Now, the way you describe it is like you said that the highs of that album are so high, it lifts the rest of it up.
For me.
For you. What ends up happening for me is the highs of that album, for example, So Sad About Us, which might actually be the only height on that album from my point of view, is so stratospherically high. I love that song so much. The rest of the album sounds dismal in comparison to that song.
So rather than booing the album, it actually makes the other songs seem shittier.
It makes them. It makes the other songs, and I feel like the rest of the material, it goes between so to ooh, this is like a C or a D side, and it makes all of it seem like ooh, this is all C and D sides compared to that song. It weakens the rest of the album.
It's a weird, inconsistent album. It's
very much.
It's almost a weirder album than the Who Sellout.
It's a very strange album, and I did not enjoy the listen. I really, truly did not enjoy that album at all. My number 10. I'm sorry, Paul. The Who Sell Out. Coming at this from the place I'm coming at this, I did not like this album. I don't understand what they're trying to do. I don't like the songs.
Yeah, that album is just pure 60s pop art. An album.
It is pure 60s pop art, and I don't think I'm particularly attuned to that.
Yeah.
That's a strong possibility that's the case.
Yeah.
My number 9, I think we're kind of in agreement on this one. Face Dances. This is weak.
It's okay.
Weak. I don't blame Kenny Jones. I think the band was not in a good headspace when they made this. This is not good material.
Yeah, the songs aren't like. There are some songs that I really love, but most of it is okay material. It's just outright not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My number 8, Who from 2019.
That's where I had it.
I felt was actually a good amount stronger than Endless Wire.
Yeah.
Like noticeably stronger.
The songs are better. They sound more energized. They sound more like they want to make the album.
They sounded inspired.
Yeah.
Yeah. My number 7, My Generation. Now, My Generation places higher on the list than a quick one, but it suffers from the same exact problem. It's just got more highs.
Yeah, well, the highs on that album are undeniable. I mean,
Yes.
who's not going to put My Generation or The Kids Are Alright?
Okay, so The Kids Are Alright is one of those songs where it's like, apparently I don't love Who music, but that is such an incredible song, it doesn't matter that it's Who music.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I felt that the weak spots on My Generation are every bit as weak as the weak spots on a quick one.
Yeah, like I've talked about before, the James Brown covers just did not need to be there.
Yeah, there was some weird shit going on.
Yeah.
Now, we get into the second half of the list.
Okay.
Number 6, Tommy. An album, I gotta be honest with you, it's good, but it sounds unfinished. And I've heard it might be.
It kind of is, because from what I've read, it was supposed to have like more electric stuff, because when they played it live, it was like hard rock, like
right,
and that's how the record was supposed to sound. For some reason, and I don't know why, they never really put that shit on the record.
Yeah, I would love to actually know the reason for that, because it's not for. They clearly must have had the proper support if they got the go ahead to put out this massive double album rock opera. after they hadn't put out a studio album since 67, and now this is 69 that Tommy comes out.
Yeah.
So they must have had at least enough record company support.
Yeah.
For them to do this sprawling concept. And so I can't imagine at the last minute there was a bunch of heat saying there's not enough time for you to overdub additional guitar.
Yeah, I really have no idea why, and I agree.
You can keep talking. I'll wait.
Okay.
Okay, I was gonna say I agree that it sounds unfinished. Like it sounds a little acousticy.
It sounds acousticy. It sounds,
and it sounds like it's almost like rough, sort of like demo guitars.
Yes.
That's not really like the final ones that really should have been there.
The electric guitar that is on there is clipped and muted. There's no sustain on the notes that are supposed to ring out. There's a distance to the production, a smallness to the whole thing, which is unfair to the music that's on this album.
Yeah, and when those guys that very year stepped on the stage to play that, it was
enormous.
You know, it was like fucking Led Zeppelin. Why didn't that go to the record?
Well, I think Crystal actually might be able to enlighten
maybe there's
us.
going to be a clarification.
Do you want to clarify now, or do you want to wait till you're...
No, it's not a clarification. From what I remember with interviews with Pete Townsend about this, what he was saying was at the time he was doing too many things at once and wanted to put hard rock guitars on it, but was too wound up about it sounding perfect that he just didn't do it.
He almost kind of did this like okay, yeah, just put it out like that.
Just do it. Like
which is a very Pete thing.
Yeah, he
would
kind of
do that.
psyched himself out of it, which is a real bummer because it, like Paul just said, when they're on stage, that shit was just, oh my god, just wow.
Like the Jeff Beck group kind of
wow. And it's really too bad that it wasn't on there, but I think that...
But the thing I don't understand also is like, well, yeah, okay, it's 1969 though, you're doing tracks. Can't you just get basic tracks with the three instrumentalists just fucking playing that shit like they do on stage and then dub over that?
I don't know. I truly would have loved to have heard a version of Tommy where Pete had taken a moment to get his thoughts together and gotten his head straight and gone back in and overdubbed another couple of tracks of big, loud electric guitar on all those songs.
Yeah.
It would have made all the difference in the world.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. I mean, what it comes down to is that album, as great as it is not as good as it could have been.
Yes. Yeah, and to me it's obvious when I listen to it. My number 5, The Who by Numbers. Mm-hmm. I don't really have any particular justification for it, but I just
like that one a little bit more when you listen to it.
When I listen to it, that's where it went on my list.
Yeah, that one has the hard rock guitars on it.
Yeah.
My number 4, fittingly, at number 4 is Quadrophenia.
Oh, look at you.
Yes. Yes, look at me. There I am.
Tommy.
There I am, right here.
We have Tommy Von White in the world famous Mississippi Studios.
Indeed. My number 3.
Okay.
Probably not surprise either of you that it's ranking this high. Who Are You?
Okay.
I fully expected a high ranking of that.
Yes.
And I don't blame you. I may have ranked it very low, or much lower, but I like that album.
Now my number 2 surprised even me. Okay?
Uh-oh.
Oh shit, I think I know.
From 1982, It's Hard.
Oh shit. Oh.
Now hold on a second.
No. Yeah, you caught me unawares.
Not being
there.
pejorative, just I had a feeling.
So the whole, it's Tommy, it came out in 1982, of course he puts it. This does not sound in any way, shape, or form like an 80s album. This album sounds like Who music.
Kind of, but it's also early 80s. Like both Face Dances and It's Hard, I feel like they sound 80s, but that early 80s before the 80s became the 80s. You know what I mean?
Snare's a little bit bigger. The production's a little bit
like it doesn't
fuller,
have that MTV 80s.
There is no
it's not
80s
big
gloss.
80s.
Yeah.
It's not big 80s.
No, this absolutely sounds like a Who album that just happened to come out in 1982. They are not trying to sound like the 80s production trends in any way, shape, or form. There's nothing about this album that would be like, well, it's candy for Tommies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
It just happened to have come out in 1982. I'm judging this purely on the merits of the music.
Right.
And I found that this was a shockingly strong album to me. I felt they sounded inspired. They sounded fresh. It rocks. It kicks ass. I thought this was a really powerful record, and I felt it was better than Who Are You and Quadrophenia.
Okay.
Using my system of how I went through all this material and ranking it all like the way I did, I was just as surprised by this as anyone else.
I could see where you would be.
Yeah.
I am.
when I went into this, okay, before I really dove in and started checking everything out and understanding what I came to understand, I had made some assumptions. I was like, well, Endless Wire and Who, they're going to be way at the bottom.
It's hard. That's probably going to suck.
I was like, Hard and Face Dances, those are the ones everyone's always rolling their eyes about. And of course, I never actually bothered to listen to either of them, but, I'm sure I'll think they're crap too, And then here I get to this, and I'm like, no, this ended up at number 2.
Well... it's everything's fine and dandy because at least you didn't put it above what you have at number 1.
What the fuck else am I gonna have at number 1?
I mean, come on.
Who is next?
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean,
you don't have to like Who music at all. You just have to have functioning ears.
That's one of those albums.
No.
Like, if you don't like that album, you don't like music.
Functioning ears.
As long as you have functioning ears, as long as you're in the atmosphere of the earth where sound waves can travel
into your brain.
And you have the appropriate organs to process that. You're going to like Who's next.
That's the moment when the Who fully crystallize, like everything that they could possibly ever be.
It is
that exact
the purest representation.
Yeah.
It is the ultimate form of Who music.
Yes.
Is Who's Next, and it is a fantastic album. And like you said, it is very much a greatest hits album in so many ways.
Yeah. If you've never put on that, you think, okay, well, I've never put on Who's Next. I've never listened to it. You're gonna know almost every song without question.
You will.
Yeah.
And they're great songs.
Yeah.
And first of all, how have you not been listening to that record?
Really, as Crystal would say, get on it.
Get on it.
Don't sleep on it.
Don't sleep on it. Do it.
So that is my list of Who album rankings.
Me likey.
From one of the greatest rock and roll bands ever comes one of the most eagerly awaited new albums of the year. Who Are You? The explosive return of The Who.
I really want to know.
Who Are You? New from The Who, the ultimate rock and roll band.
Tell me who are you?
On MCA Records and Tapes.
Britain's most vicious criminal.
You try and grab me and I'll break your jaw.
They gave him 23 years, and he gave them hell.
John, you still want to get out?
John Roger McVicar. Inside.
Name number. You know my name.
Outside. Nothing could stop the man they were all out to get. McVicar. At a cinema near you now and from Sunday. It takes a lot of people to put The Who on tour.
Same as the old balls.
And it took a great beer like Schlitz to bring The Who to America. Schlitz rocks America.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
We are back.
We're back.
And it's time for
Crystal's here for
Crystal
the
Blitz.
attack.
Yes.
What did you just say?
We are back, and Crystal's here for the attack.
Yeah, because I'm black.
She's gonna. Oh well, yeah.
Oh, I thought you were making a Dokken reference. Stay
Yeah, well,
tuned.
you know,
As it
Dokken
should be, is going
references
to rank
are
the Dokken albums soon.
Anyway, so Crystal's gonna give us her ranking of the Who catalog.
All right. So first, let me say that if I was not doing this with you two, I think we all know what would go number one, don't we? Do we not know?
I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah, it would be the soundtrack to Tommy. That would be my all-time number one.
Yeah, but
I'm not doing that. Can't do that. So
that's an honorable mention.
It's an honorable mention. My fantasy list, it would be number one. So coming in, Cold at number 12.
Coming in cold.
Endless Wire.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I was going to say, there's no fucking way we don't have a trifecta on that. There's no way.
Like, I love Pete Townsend so much. But sometimes he just doesn't know when to stop. And it's like, that mess has been running around for decades. right? Like, he wanted to do it so badly, and then let me change this, and let me rewrite that, and let me do this, and put it on the shelf, and then this, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, sometimes you want to do something so bad, and you should just leave it alone, maybe?
Well, so I feel like there are times when he just doesn't know how to do it, and that is one of those times.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Yeah, it's a tired mess.
It's just, like, what do you... Yeah, that's ice cold at number 12.
Coming in
dead.
Ice
Coming in
cold.
on the slab. Endless wire.
Oh man, it's turning blue. That.
Yeah, let me open up the drawer.
Get the paddles. Oh, too late.
Too late. It's dead. It's DOA. All right.
Oh! Before we get off that album, I do want to point out something that I got to mention when I was talking about these albums. Is there a fucking worse album cover on the planet than that shit?
I mean...
When that album was coming out and it wasn't out yet, and I saw the cover, I was like, oh, this does not bode well at all.
That's what you chose. That's a Who cover?
Yeah.
So that wins for me as worst Who album cover. But anyway, sorry, I had to get that in there.
No, that's fine. That's a good point. All right. I wanted to do a tie, but I didn't because I'm following the rules.
Yes. well, how would this work though? Well, yeah, whatever.
Whatever. I didn't do it. So at 11, It's Hard.
Oh, I know what your tie would have been. And I know why.
And you know why. So, it's hard.
To like the album?
It's hard to like that record. And it's primarily because, I've been a Who fan since I was a little kid. And I've said it once, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'll keep on saying it, is that they should have stopped after Keith Moon died. That's consistently how I feel. When Moon died, they should have packed it up. Pete, go do your solo shit. Roger, rock a horse, like whatever.
Right, ride a rock horse.
Ride a rock horse.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin style.
Just leave it alone, because I'm not saying that... Well, I guess I am kind of saying it. It's like, it's not The Who without Keith Moon. It just simply is not. And I love Kenny Jones as a drummer. No shade on Kenny Jones, because he kicked ass in Faces and all that stuff. And it's not even that he was not a good fit. I think of all the top drummers at that time, for them to consider, I think that they made the right choice to pick Kenny Jones. But it just... was not the same. It just was not the same. And if you haven't figured it out by now, in many ways I'm a stone cold purist when it comes to a lot of stuff. I want it like this, and that's it. I don't want it any other way. I want it that way.
Well,
so go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I want to add to this. Like you're saying, it isn't necessarily, and you also said it isn't necessarily Kenny Jones' fault.
How could it be his fault?
Townsend was tired at that point.
Yeah, that too.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah, he was pooped.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why it's like, you know what? Just stop. Take a break. Give yourself a break, Pete. You've been going really hard since the year I was born.
Very, very hard.
Very hard since the year I was born. Just calm down. And take a step back. Play the flute or something. Learn how to paint. Do something else. And then come back to it, because you are a person like Paul McCartney who, can't do anything else but make amazing music for the biggest part of your life. So that, to me, that's my overall umbrella. They should have stopped. But they didn't. So there you go. And It's Hard would have tied with Face Dances. Athena, I like. A couple other songs off that album I like. My mother loved You Better, You Better, You Bet. She used to sing that all of the time, You Better, You Bet. And I'm like, Mom, I don't like the cigarettes part, but I like this song. That was Joyce. It just wasn't enough for me to really like it.
Yeah, the songs are weak.
Not good songs.
Some highlights, but yeah, overall.
Yeah, too many lowlights. Again, just sit down somewhere.
Yeah.
Make a milkshake. Then at number 9, I got Who.
Fair enough spot for that.
That would have been a three-way tie, really. That's what I wanted, a three-way tie. I don't need to say anything else about that.
Well, it sounds like you should have had like a five-way tie at the bottom.
No, notice though, I love that she would have had a three-way tie of Who, Face Dances and It's Hard, and Endless Wire still would have been below.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
It still would have been the bottom of the barrel.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, when that came out, and a lot of people, hey, aren't you excited? And I'm like, no. Why would I be excited? I'm not excited about this. I don't want this. I don't want it. I don't like it. No, sir. I don't like it. All right, so now we're back to good stuff. Coming in at number 8.
Back to good stuff.
We're back to good stuff. Coming in at number 8, The Who by Numbers.
Yeah.
I love that record. Slip Kid, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Fuck.
One of the best Who songs.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One of the best intros ever. Ever.
I love the kind of marching sort of rhythm of it.
Yeah, it's, and he's talking about being in the army and the span of this guy's life. Oh. And I love the, connect the dots.
Oh yeah, the John Entwistle cover, drawn cover.
Yeah, and when I found out it was him, I was like, he can draw. Who knew that? That's good.
He was working on a whole
thing,
like history of the Who in drawings, like in that style.
Yeah,
he had pages and pages and pages, like it was going to be like he never finished it. But
yeah, I think that he was snorted too much coke off of it and ruined the pictures.
Oh.
So then I got the Who Sellout.
At what number we at?
This is number 7.
7.
Yeah. So when I first saw that record, like many people, I looked at it and I was like, what the hell is this?
What's happening?
Why is he in a tub full of baked beans? What is with the big deodorant? What is this? And of course I bought it and I ran home and I listened to it. And I sat there and I was like, what the hell is this? Why are they doing this? It doesn't make any sense to me. I didn't like the commercial things. Radio. I didn't like it. So I put it away for a really long time, like maybe 10 years. I refused to listen to it. Then one day I picked it up. You know what? Let me give it another shot. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. I like it now. I'm still not too keen on all the commercials, but I like the songs better. It grew on me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can understand why the commercials would be annoying. Like I take it as a whole, so I don't really think about whether or not I like those individual pieces. But I can understand, why you would feel that way about it.
I'll also say that thinking about other records that do little interludes in between things, I'm not really a big fan of that. I would just give me the songs, like except for De La Soul. That worked for me. Those little skits in between, they were funny, but it just didn't. I don't know. It just didn't work for me.
Just do it. Who's next style and fucking
just get in there and flame out. Enough. So what did I say?
That was 7.
That was 7. Okay, so number 6, I got My Generation. And to me, along with the Kinks, that was the beginning of punk rock for a myriad of reasons. And I love that record. Love it. Play it as loud as I possibly can, except for when I have earbuds in. And, I don't need to say anything else about that, do I? No.
I don't know. Well, how do you feel about the covers on that?
Like you. Why did you do this? Like James Brown. But I also understand because of the time period and they didn't have 18 records worth of material to do live, and they would do a lot of covers, and like the Martha and the Vandellas, Heat Wave,
yeah.
It's just like, it's okay. But that's what people were doing. The Beatles did covers of other people's shit, so it only made sense that they would do that to me.
Yeah, that's true.
It's appropriate for the era, I guess.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah,
that's what they did.
Well, I think when I was a kid too, I actually thought a lot more of those songs were covers than what were. And you look at it, it's like, oh, actually, really, most of that. There's actually more original material on that than I think on the first couple of Beatles albums.
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
Like that's almost entirely Townsend songs, except for the 2 James Brown tracks.
Yeah, that's right. All right, coming in at number 5, a quick one, While She's Away. That was another one. Well, I immediately grabbed it, ran home, listened to it, and I was like, what is this? What are they doing? I don't get it. But then I saw the Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus. Holy shit. And I've said it before on this show. They wiped the floor with everybody. Eric who? John Lennon who? Who are these people?
The Rolling Stones who?
The Rolling Stones who? Yeah. They destroyed. Have you seen that yet?
Oh, man.
Tommy,
really, seriously. The Who's performance of the song A Quick One on Rock and Roll Circus is one of the greatest rock and roll performances in history.
It is a masterpiece.
It is breathtaking.
God. Yeah.
That is the reason that that they did that in '68 and then it didn't come out and that is why, because the Who fucking made mincemeat of the Rolling Stones, and it's like, oh, okay, well,
yeah, and you can see.
So rather than even just cutting the sequence, I just
that's what I've read. I mean, I don't know that. I mean, I wasn't there, so I can't say that for sure. But that's how the story goes.
Oh wow!
And you can kind of see it when you're watching the movie, because so there are these not interludes, but so Mick is introducing everybody, right? Oh, da, da, da. And there's one bit where him and John Lennon, like they were calling nicknames or whatever. Yeah. And John Lennon's Dirty Mac, and so he was eating a bowl of soup, and he was like, "All right, then, blah 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 blah." Yeah. And they cut back to them after the Who, and it was like, okay.
Yeah, the Who just completely blew the ceiling off that place. And that's the thing. Even in the end, even if that isn't why it got shelved, the fact remains, you watch that, and
I get it.
Took every other band and wiped their ass with it.
And left them brown in a corner.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It is unbelievable. And again, if you haven't seen it, get on it, because it is wild. Last weekend, or earlier this week, PBS was doing their fun drive thing, and every time I turned it on, a Rock and Roll Circus was on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I would either come in right after them or like at the end of the thing. So I looked it up on YouTube and watched it again. But it's breathtaking. The whole room, like the way Billy Preston lifted the Beatles off the floor, that is what the Who does to everybody.
Right.
And I just wish, oh how I wish, there was a photographer or somebody on the sidelines getting shots of everybody standing there with their asses cracked and on the ground, because that is exactly what happened. Yeah. Like, everybody just must have been petrified.
Their asses were handed to them. Ooh. And well, also, I guess I want to point out about this that is the first version of that song I ever heard.
Oh, shit.
Because I had the Kids Are All Right soundtrack, which has that performance, before I had the Happy Jack A Quick One album.
Oh, okay.
So I knew that track just as the Rock and Roll Circus performance. That's what I knew. And then I got that album and heard the studio version. I was like,
what the hell is this?
what the fuck is this? This is terrible.
Yeah.
This is absolutely terrible.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing. All right. Where am I at now? Number 5.
Oh,
I did my generation.
Somewhere in the top 12.
Oh, a quick one. Oh, okay. Number 4. Well, a quick one. I'll say my favorite is So Sad About Us.
That song is amazing.
I love that song so much.
Really amazing.
And thank you, Jan Xavier, for letting me sing that song in your show years ago. All right, number 4, we got Tommy. I like it. Not as much as the movie soundtrack.
Nah.
But I like it.
We're never going to hear the end
You
of this.
won't. As long as I'm breathing. It's great, but it's not as great as the movie soundtrack to me. I'm sorry. That's how I feel about it. I do what I want.
She does.
Number 3, we got Quadrophenia. Which my friend Karen Donware introduced me to that record when it came out. So, the songwriting, like, Pete Townshend's brain, I hope he donates it to science, because to think of these concepts are just like, what are you doing? How are you thinking about this stuff? How are you thinking it up? I don't know. Do either of you think that you're capable of doing something like this?
Well, yes, but you have to approach it from the point of view of a storyteller, almost like you're writing a novel.
Right. I get that,
apply it to music.
But even still, it's like...
as somebody who's written a book, I get where he's coming from.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the angle you have to approach it at. And if you just look at it from the point of view of just, there's a guy that writes rock songs. How on earth does he think of this?
No,
it seems like it's some alien thing.
No, I get that part, but still, to me, it's like, wow. Even as a book writer or whatever, like, holy shit, your imagination. It's pretty fucking astounding, I think. And I really love this version. I like the soundtrack version, but I like this more. It's just brilliant to me. I love it. Coming in at number 2, I got Who Are You?
Wow. I
You've
stand
actually
corrected.
got Who Are You ranked one higher than I did.
I stand way corrected.
You stand corrected.
I stand corrected.
Yeah.
And it's all because of Sister Disco. And those synths!
Say, that's a good song. That is a good song.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, Who Are You? What do I have to say about that? Do I have to say anything else about that? Do I really?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. What do you have to say about it?
Nothing.
Okay.
It's great. It's number 2. Because my number 1.
Oh.
Jeez, what could possibly be your number 1?
possibly be? What could you think is the best
My
Who
number
album?
1.
Which Who's Next is your number 1?
My number 1 all-time favorite Who album is Who's Next? Come on. Hello?
Hooray.
I mean, nicely done.
Bye, bye, bye.
This, I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. It's like truly.
Well put.
Yeah.
I mean, it's untouchable. Untouchable.
I love how we all had the same worst and the same best.
In the whole middle, our bread is in exactly the same spot, but what's filling the sandwich
stuff inside is different.
And really, the fact that we had the same worst and the same best is not that much of a shock when you look at the album.
No, because it's so. That's pretty clear.
Obvious.
Like that's so clearly the best Who album.
Yeah.
Come on.
Endless Wire is so clearly the
worst Who album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny is I remember when Endless Wire came out, and I was reading reviews of it, and there were people like, "Oh yeah, so glad they did this album because this is such a better album for them to go out on. If they go out on it, then it's hard." That's what people were saying at the time.
That's
I
hysterical
literally
to me.
read that in a review.
I find that especially hilarious considering I have It's Hard at number 2.
Well, to be fair,
I know I'm an anomaly in
you're
that regard.
the only person who has that album in number 2.
Probably.
There's that.
It's so fucking brilliant. And I remember going to the record store and buying it, and it was a whole gigantic display. It was Listening Booth Records, and they had the long wall was all this.
All Who's Next?
All Who's Next. So it was like 8,000 of the slicks, and they actually had, the albums up there, not, stapled or anything, but like taped behind or whatever. And I just walked in there and I just stared at the wall for like 10 minutes, like, oh.
Wait. So you were hip to Who's Next since you were like 6 years old?
Yeah, because my mom was a Who fan. My cousin Jean was a Who fan. So, yeah.
So you go
It was around.
way the
It was
hell
around,
back.
yeah.
Yeah. So it was just like, what the hell? And then, grabbed the record, took it home.
Blew your mind right out.
Blew my mind right out of my head. Just like, what the fuck? Didn't say that because I was little. But still, it's burned into my brain forever, that record.
It's burned into everybody's brain, even if they don't know it.
Yeah, it is.
That's true.
It really
Even
is.
if you don't know it's in there, it's in there.
It's in there.
Yeah, you listen to that record, you know where every drum fill's coming in.
All
you just
of
know
it.
all of
Yeah.
it. Yep.
And then as I got older, and then listened to it not with different ears, but from a different perspective, just because you get older and you listen to all kinds of other music that comes out, and then it was just even more like, oh my god, this is fucking amazing. Focusing in on Keith, focusing on Pete, focusing on, listening to them individually, and that, back in ancient times, you couldn't go to YouTube and listen to isolated tracks.
Right.
You just had to sit there with headphones on and try and blank out everything else and only hear one thing out of both ears, which was really hard, and I find it to be a skill that a lot of people don't have anymore. I know you can do it. But a lot of people can't do that. So then I was like, then I got into, not that I wanted to be a musician, but it got me more into musicology, and then I started paying more attention to everybody else that I enjoyed, from Sly and the Family Stone to Ray Charles to whatever. Then I was really getting deep into arrangements and who is producing it and who produces all these records and what about this and what about that, and got me a more I got into a more well-rounded music education.
It helped you to geek out.
Thank you.
And Who's Next is what opened the doors for that.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Out of all the music that
Yeah.
I've listened to, and, even at that age, yeah. And I listen to it. Yes. I do listen to that once a week.
Oh, that's one of your once-a-week albums.
It is one of my once-a-week albums. It prevents me from killing people on the subway.
Oh, that's so nice.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
That's one of those albums where, before thinking about it, I might have thought that I wouldn't put Who's Next to the top, because I would think that it would be something like, oh, God, how many times have I heard all these songs on classic rock radio? I'm probably tired of this. And then you go back to it, and it's like, no. This is not.
It really is just
I'm not
that much better.
It's still that good.
Yeah.
It's still
Whereas Tommy, when I was a kid, I would have put it way up there, and it's fallen because I've gotten kind of over it. Who's Next is like, no, that just still packs the same punch.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. And maybe one teeny tiny little addendum, because people do ask me why I like the movie soundtrack to Tommy better than the original. I thought that it was very adventurous to choose all of those other people to represent the characters in that movie. And anybody who's going to get Oliver Reed to sing, and you get Anne Margaret, and just the movie, of course, is burned in my brain as well, because I saw it at a drive-in movie the weekend that it opened. And it just, I don't know, it's just one of these big touchstones of my life that I can't, I don't know, it's just in there. And Ken Russell's genius, and I've talked about him already, and it's just there for me.
Yeah.
And
well, it's that age, too. Like, you were a kid.
Yeah, I was a kid, and it was like, what the fuck is going on? And, back then I was watching movies I shouldn't be watching, like The Exorcist and that, and Phantom of Paradise and all that shit. But I got into almost an argument with Ira Sebastian, with Ira from...
what's that band he's in? The something or others.
Fuck. Well, he does the Beatles tribute band, but...
oh, yeah, he's in
I'm having an epic brain fart.
Yeah, I know, I am
terrible.
too. I literally just saw him, like, a month ago, or 2 months ago, maybe.
Oh, really?
Because the Beatles band played.
Oh, right. Bambi Kino. Yeah.
Bambi Kino.
Yeah. But anyway, his other band. So... a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I was singing in Losers Lounge shows. And we were in the same show, and we were talking about our favorite bands, and somebody was like, what's your favorite? And I said, oh, The Who. And he's like, you like The Who too? Oh my God. And we had this bonding moment. And then I said, yeah, I want to do a Who tribute band. What? I'm playing in that band. And I was like, okay, that's great. So I got the first band together, did a show, and then we did another show, and I wanted to do... stuff from Quadrophenia. Oh, I wanted them to do Sparks. And he didn't want to do it. And he's like, that's not Quadrophenia. And I was like, it is in the movie soundtrack. And that's what you're doing. I have this dream of seeing a band doing Sparks. Just fucking play it. And he's like, oh, no, I'm not doing that. And we almost came to fisticuffs.
Oh, no.
Seriously, because I was like, what the fuck? This is my thing. You're doing it. Or I'll get another drummer. And he's like, no, I'm the drummer. And I say no. Like, it would turn into a thing. Like, we almost, like, that almost ended our friendship.
Oh, no.
I'm serious, yeah. And then they wound up doing it. And it was great. Everybody loved it. And I'm like, come on, Ira. You have a fucking Who drum kit. What the fuck is wrong with you?
He can play those songs very well.
Yes.
Yeah.
He plays those songs very well.
Crushed it. He was amazing.
Yeah.
And had a special Keith Moon kit that he put together himself. And it took him a half an hour to tune the snares just right. And that, I mean, he was...
The band that he's
nuts
from is at
about
the
it.
top of my tongue. I'm trying to something starts with an N.
It's here at the bottom.
Not
of
a
the
surf.
screen.
Not a
There it
surf.
is.
Not a surf. That's
Okay.
it. Not a surf. Yeah.
Oh, you were almost going to have to just put it in post.
Yeah. Fucking A. I haven't had much sleep.
I
But
remember
anyway.
Not a surf.
Yeah, because that first show, it was a February at Arlene's, and I didn't think anybody would come, and we had an okay crowd, and I cried at the end because that was like a dream of little 9-year-old black girl me singing Who songs, and Matt Basil, and oh god, yeah, they were, it was so great.
Yeah.
It was really, really great.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's why that's my little addendum. So that's it.
So there you go.
This is the story of probably the most exciting rock band in the world.
People try to put us down. I see right through your plastic man. I look all white, but my dad was black. See me, feel me, touch me. I almost got squeezed by hand and never sleeps at night. We don't get fooled again. No.
The story of The Who, a double album with 26 tracks plus a complete Who scrapbook. It's probably the most exciting record in the world.
Do you know me? Well, I do round here. I run this trout fishery. Any luck?
Yes, got a nice one.
Oh dear. I'll have to put the other one in now. When I'm travelling, having a famous face doesn't help pay for meals, hotels and things like that. But this does the business. The American Express card shows exactly who's who.
Apply for the American Express card today.
Don't leave home without it.
All right. Well.
Right, yeah.
I think with this one we probably don't need to do. We can just go out. We probably don't need to because we're not going to have a hate list.
We'll just bounce. We'll
Actually, we kind of already have.
Oh yeah.
Endless Wire.
Yeah, there you go. All right, thanks for hating with us.
Oh wait.
Yeah. Oh, the Tommy soundtrack.
The Tommy soundtrack. It's not a way back picture, but I have a picture that I'm going to ask Paul to show.
Okay.
That is from the not too distant past. That has to do with The Who. That's all I'll say.
Oh, I know what it is.
You know what it is.
I know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Showing it now.
Yes, indeed. This may not be vintage photo time, but this is indeed bitchin' photo time. And this is Crystal's photo. She wrote, 7 or 8 years ago, my homegirl Cynthia invited me to the Nile Rodgers Cancer Charity event. She didn't tell me Roger would be there. When he walked out on stage, I damn near fainted. After the show was over, I got to hang with him for about an hour talking about music, and after telling him that I had a Who tribute band, he thought I played bass, and I said, "No, I'm you." And he said, "Brilliant!" And he asked me to sing some songs with him, and I almost fainted again. I never ever thought I'd meet him, let alone spend so much time and sing with him. He was the best ever. Oh, I have a similar one that I can put in.
Oh, yeah, you do. That's
Showing
right.
that one now.
Here I am in 2015, just as I'm about to get ready to meet Pete Townsend. And here I am, actually speaking to Pete Townsend. As you can see, it looks like I am pouring my heart out to him, like I am just gushing about how much The Who means to me and all that kind of stuff. Honestly, I don't even remember what I said to him or what he said back. But if you look at him, he's really listening to me. He's looking right at me, probably because he can't hear me. But yeah, all I know is that I stood there looking right directly into those blue eyes, and he looked right into my eyes. And I walked away from that in a daze. All right, in the thumbnail photo, yes, that is actually us at the very spot where The Who shot that iconic Kids Are Alright image. Now, this is the Carl Schurz Memorial up in Morningside Heights near Columbia University. It's located on Morningside Drive right at 116th Street, for all you Who geeks who may not know where it is. The image did actually require a little bit of Photoshop sleight of hand. Now here's the original photo. Yeah, see, now here's the total unretouched pic. We didn't have, as you can see, a British flag to drape over us, so I brought along a white shower curtain, and voila, there you go. And a special shout out to Tommy's wife, Melissa, who took this shot. She absolutely nailed it. Okay, everybody, thank you for watching our Who ranking video, and thank you for, being patient about the fact that we didn't bring you the year 2004
because you're dying
this week,
to
but
see
that's
it.
because if you come back next week, you are going to see that coveted 2004 ranking. We're going to be discussing our favorite albums. Like, subscribe, and all that kind of shit. Click the little bell. Anyway, see you next Thursday, 2004.
2004.
There it is. Okay. What order are we going in?
We'll just do our left to right order, and then when we get to 2004, we'll resume the order from 2003.
Okay.
I think I already have the list for 2004 listed with who should be next, with us doing it that way.
Get it?
Which, get it. And which is you, by the way, but it's also going to be you on this one.
Oh.
Well, actually, let me ask you, before we go, would you like to be first, or would you like to have the last word on the Who? I'm giving you the option.
Wow. May I go last, please?
Okay, and that means it starts with me. So me, Tommy, and Crystal. Okay. All right. Okay.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
All right.